So upcoming Friday nights, me and the degenerate boys that we are, we're coming back with the betting show.
You look at the way he bounces off tacklers, the way that he keeps his eyes downfield, his vision, his ability to find holes, his pass catching ability, right? Because he had.
In my lifetime, I'd put him at probably around the 2 area, with, again, the only other person up there being King Ricky.
Anthony Richardson or Caleb Williams at the 111.
Yeah.
So just hit us.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode here on B.S.ing Sports, part of the B.S.ing Network. As you can see, my co-host this week, Tim Hawkins, is having some technical difficulties. It happened literally right before we jumped on. But, you know, we're going to do everything we can to bring you a good, solid show, even if it's just me. I can do it. I've done it before. It is what it is. But thank you again for joining us here on the network where we do a little BS. We talk a whole lot of sports. Obviously, this is this past Sunday's Eagles recap show, and, you know, they won. That's the obvious positive, is that the Eagles won. So that's wonderful. Thank you, the True Six King, for jumping in here and commenting here. He says, let's go Red Sox, which I just realized are unfortunately not in the postseason at the current moment. So I'm rooting for the Guardians personally. They're the only of the four teams that are remaining that I don't despise. So I personally am rooting for the Guardians. However, having said that, like I said, Tim actually just got kicked. He's no longer on my screen in the lobby, so it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Got a recap show to do. We missed last night because, you know, family stuff happens. It happens, and I unfortunately couldn't get on. But here I am, and it's good to be here with you guys. So hopefully a bunch of people tune in. I'm all over the Facebooks, the YouTubes, the X's, and the Twitch. So if you're out there, please comment. It'll make it much easier on me if I've got some banter to go back with. But let's get right into it, right? Philadelphia Eagles win 20-16. I personally did not get to watch the game. I was at my second job, which is a bar. Unfortunately, they don't have the ticket, so I couldn't have it on one of the TVs and keep glancing at it. So I watched the recap on Monday, and watching the recap, it was very lethargic. Like a couple of big plays out of the Eagles, which was nice. You know, the touchdown A.J. Brown in the end zone was really nice. Touchdown Devontae Smith was really nice. But outside of that, they didn't look super explosive, which is kind of concerning to me because bringing Kellen Moore in was supposed to make this whole offense more explosive, make it more dynamic. Then you bring in Saquon Barkley, same situation. Unfortunately, we lose Jordan Mailata. It looks like he'll be out for a couple of weeks. He's got a hamstring injury. But you got Lane Johnson back. You got A.J. Brown back. You got Devontae Smith back. Saquon Barkley only rushes for 47 yards. I mean, that's 2 catches for 7 yards. You're talking, he had 20 total touches, which is good. Just couldn't get anything going on the ground with Saquon Barkley, which is unfortunate. But again, Jalen, in this particular game, I only got to watch the replay. So if you're out there and you're listening, please let me know how it felt to actually watch the game, like what your vibe was while watching the game. I'd like to get a little banter in the chat. That would be really good. It's just super unfortunate. Tim says he's going to look for another laptop and get back on with me, which would be good. Again, please comments and give me something. And yeah, so again, Jalen Hurts doesn't turn the ball over in this game, which is impressive because, you know, he's had a turnover, at least one turnover in almost every single game going back to the middle of last season. So a game where he doesn't have any turnovers. There was a bad snap by Cam Jurgens, but Jalen Hurts was able to recover on that. And again, the offense just did not look super explosive. Those are my initial thoughts. Obviously, I broke it down a little bit more. I got a few notes to go on. Usually I have somebody to banter with, and unfortunately that's not here. That's not the case today. So it is just me. But they just lost isn't the right word that I would use for the Philadelphia Eagles right now. It's like they're content to be what they are, and what they are right now is not a very good team, in my opinion. So to be content with what you are as an average team at best is kind of disappointing, you know, especially from a fan base of a team that's supposed to be very, very good. Jake, appreciate you hopping in here. Eagles look like, okay, yeah, see, so for, again, chat, help me out here. For people who actually got to watch the game, I only got to watch the recap. How did it feel during the game? What were your feelings and your opinions? Like, did you sit there 2 years ago and, I got Tim back.
Hey, I'm back. The outlet wasn't working.
The outlet wasn't working.
Broke.
All right. Well, with me this week is Tim Hawkins. Thank you very much for joining back in. So yeah, like I said, like I was just in the middle of, you got to watch the game live. While watching the game live, did you was it a couple years ago where you just knew they were going to win, or was it one of those really nerve-wracking situations where you're like, they're going to lose this game because they're not a good football team?
I was nervous the whole time. It's just, they're not enjoyable to watch right now. Like, the offense has no there's no rhythm with the offense. Like, they are not playing together. Something, I don't know if it's Jalen Moore or Sirianni, but not them three are not on the same page. So it just takes the joy out of watching the game.
Good. Okay, so I'm actually benefiting from working Sunday mornings at the bar and not having to watch these trash heap of games. That's good. That's good to know. I don't have to sit through it. I just get to go home and to see what the score was. I did mention already in the initial thoughts that Jalen Hurts didn't have a turnover, which is phenomenal because of how many he's had this season and dating back to halfway through last season. Saquon Barkley, 20 total touches, 54 total yards. While watching this, did it feel that way? Did it feel like Saquon couldn't get going?
Yeah, it seemed like the Browns were all over him.
Okay. So you would say the Browns Jim Schwartz had a good game plan to neutralize Saquon Barkley.
Yes, they kept rotating all the linemen. Like, they kept had a rotation of defensive linemen all game long.
Okay. Well, I mean, look, at least there's like a thought process on it, right? Not just the Eagles couldn't get going. They looked, apparently it did look like it in the recap. I couldn't see how often they swapped out players because obviously I go from the end of the play to the start of the next play. I don't see all the transitions and stuff. But it did look like they had a good game plan to shut down specifically Saquon Barkley, and like they were going to make Jalen Hurts beat them. Like they had made a decision that Jalen Hurts wasn't going to beat them. Yes, Ryan, I will get into this comment right here. He says that doesn't help that he's running out of bounds. But it did look like on the recap that they had a game plan. They came in saying Jalen Hurts is going to need to beat us. We're not going to lose if it's Saquon Barkley. It'll be Jalen Hurts. And fortunately, again, no turnovers. And Jalen Hurts gets it done. He runs for 33 yards on the ground as well. Kenny Gainwell, 3 for 23. And Jahan Dotson even had a rush for 13 yards.
I mean, he didn't come out looking good. He was 0-5 on his first 5 throws.
Was he now?
Yeah.
See, I missed that.
He did hit his next 16 now.
Okay, so 0 for 5, and then he hit 16. Okay. Ken Brandt says first play was a 5-yard run and then 2 incomplete passes. Why not run the ball? So I actually have a story on that. I'm going to jump around on these banners real quick because obviously you saw it. I saw it. The entire Eagles Nation saw it. ESPN's going nuts over it. Sirianni chirping at the home fans after they won the game. First initial thoughts from me is, Nick, that is fucking dumb. Man, what are you doing? And then I read a report yesterday on Reddit from apparently the fan that he was chirping at. And after the first series of the game, the one that Ken Brandt just mentioned, you ran the ball first time for 5 yards and then 2 incomplete passes. The fan said, "Hey, Nick, Kellen, run the effing ball." And Nick Sirianni turned around to him and said, "Calm down, we're going to run the ball." And then after the game was over, he wasn't actually chirping at the fans. He was telling him, "See, I told you we were going to run the ball." And that does kind of make it puts it in a little bit of a new light. You don't want to do it as the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. You want to ignore the chitter chatter, the chit chat, the banter. And he really shouldn't have engaged. However, it does kind of change it for me a little bit because now he's not just chirping at the fans, telling them to shut up. He's actually engaging with them, which he has done his entire career. What are your thoughts?
As a head coach of an NFL team, he shouldn't be doing that. You don't see 32 other head coaches doing that. Like, yes, do that behind closed doors at practices. You can let the team see that, but you shouldn't let the fans or the media see that side of him.
Apparently, his players told him to engage with the fans.
I've seen that too.
If that's the case, I'm here for it. Like, you want to see. This is a complaint that I've had about Jalen Hurts his entire career is there's no emotion out of the man. He does not show emotion. I want to see you angry on the sideline that you just threw a pick. I want to see these things. Now, obviously, compose yourself, get back on the field and play well. But Sirianni had gotten to the point where even the interactions between him and Jalen, they were all very automated, right? Like,
yeah.
And I mean,
if enforced.
Exactly. Yeah. So if his players told him to engage with the fans, then okay, I still feel a little bit differently about it. I'm not as angry about it. Like,
well, here's this thought. You just don't randomly get a haircut at the beginning of the week if something's not going right. If you're not trying to change something.
So you think he changed his hair and brought a new attitude with it?
Maybe. They were talking
Look,
about that on
they
the
got to
radio.
win. I mean, they as frustrated as it was to watch the replay, and for all of you who watched it live, as frustrating as it was, they got the win. They're in the win column. They're second in the division. They didn't get beat at home by 42 points. Like, there are worse places to be right now than 3-2. And
if they would have had turnovers, they would have lost that game.
But they didn't.
Exactly. So
point.
that's how
Yeah.
they won. But that's how bad it looked. Like if they would have had a turnover, they probably would have ended up losing that game. Because I mean, the Browns' offense does not look good.
Well, we can touch on the Deshaun Watson of it here in a minute. Apparently, Brandon Graham's post-game presser, when he was asked about Sirianni yelling at the fan, he said, "We told him to be himself. If the team is going to back him up for him being himself, I'm here for it. I really am."
Yeah.
Think about it. We as Philadelphia fans, we just watched the Phillies, who won 95 games, get stomped by the Mets, right? And they showed very little emotion while getting destroyed. The clubhouse, the coaches, and we were all pissed off and frustrated with it. And then Sirianni comes out and does this. Ryan brings up another really, really good point. I don't know who that is. The Eagles are a Saquon Barkley drop away from being 4-1 right now against the Falcons. And that's the truth. He doesn't drop that. It's a stupid play call, but he doesn't drop that ball. And they're 4-1. And this still feels very different, right? Well, now we don't feel very comfortable.
Again in this game, 3rd and 1, right before the half, 3rd and 1 underneath like a minute left. They haven't topped the push all first half, and then you're going to line up in shotgun and get sacked.
Gabe says they're using Jalen Hurts like he's Justin Herbert. I think you were on the last time I brought this up originally, right? Jalen Hurts, part of what makes Jalen Hurts is his legs. And outside of the tush push, it doesn't look like they're correctly utilizing Jalen Hurts' legs anymore, right?
I don't think they want him to.
Which is bullshit. You don't buy I said this 3 times in a row now. You don't buy a Hellcat engine and only use 4 cylinders. You don't do it. So there's a disconnect. There's something behind closed doors that we're not getting. There's a disconnect. But as bad as Jalen Hurts had played through, we'll call it 8, 9, 10 games, he looked, at least passing the ball, better after the first 5 incompletions. Like you said, he rattled off 16 straight.
This is probably his best game in like 12 games.
He played pretty well against the Packers. He had 2 bad interceptions, but he did play pretty well against the Packers.
Yeah, he put up good numbers.
That translates to a win, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Couple of other little tidbits. Let's go back to these banners and come on in here. The offense, I've already told you the running back numbers. A.J. Brown coming off of the 3 games that he missed, 6 for 116 and a touchdown. Grant Calcaterra with the Dallas Goedert going down, 4 for 67. Devontae Smith, 3 for 64 and a tutty. Jahan Dotson, only 1 target again. Saquon Barkley with 2 targets again. Goddard got a target and Gainwell got a target. Neither of them got a catch.
Wait, I thought Dotson touched. I know he threw the ball to Dotson in the end zone, and Tim said he should have given him a shot. But to me, it looked like he was clearly covered, and he doesn't trust him like AJ, so he's not just going to lob it up. So he threw it out of bounds over his head.
Okay.
And then he did have a nice toe tap catch for a first down.
Yeah, I know first-round picks don't always pan out. I'm looking at you, Nelson Aguilar and Jalen Reagor. But Jahan Dotson was a pretty well-touted first-round draft pick going to the Commanders there.
I liked him coming out of college.
Yeah, and if he can put together a decent season, like that's a pretty scary 3rd, 4th weapon in that offense when Goddard comes back. But we're going to need Calcaterra. We're going to need Dotson, these guys to step up with Goddard.
It was good to see I'm not even going to try to say his name.
Calcaterra.
Yeah. Step up.
And
he's going to have to step up because Goddard's looking at a hammy problem.
Yeah, and those can linger. Same thing with Jordan Mailata. I mentioned it at the top of the broad. Mailata is going to miss time with a hamstring injury as well. He got rolled up on a Saquon Barkley run, I believe.
So it is his hamstring? What?
That's the report you sent me. I read it. I put it out. Yeah. So again, I only got to watch the replay. So I only got to see the actual plays. Watching the game, the offense, how did it feel?
Sorry, repeat that.
I said I only Ryan says blocked field goal, and if the game was 2 minutes longer, they score again. I don't know if he means the Eagles score again or if he means
I think that's 2 blocked field goals we had this year.
One against us and one for us.
Well, I think we also had 2, or was it a block punt? I know special teams gave up another block something.
Okay, maybe. But no, my question was, I didn't get to watch it live. I only got to watch the play-by-play. Watching it live, how did the offense feel? Did it feel clunky? Did it feel lethargic?
Feels lethargic. They still haven't scored in the first quarter.
Yeah, I know that.
And they're just coming out slow all the time. It's supposed to be this high-powered offense, but I don't see it. I see they're just not together. Okay. I don't know if it's the play calling or Jalen. I don't know if they're trying to cater to him and Moore can't do what he wants to do, or vice versa.
So my opinion on it is Kellen Moore runs a really complicated offense. Got to have a really high football IQ to be able to manage an offense like Kellen Moore wants it run. I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is not an intelligent man. That's not what I'm saying. However, he may not have the football IQ to run a Kellen Moore offense. So they have to, I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying Jalen Hurts is dumb, but they may have to dumb down Kellen Moore's offense to cater to Jalen Hurts. Now, listen, that's your job as a coach, right? You come in, you see what you've got, you see what you're evaluating. Maybe as the season rolls on, this offense does become what we think it's supposed to be, right?
I mean, there was life. There were signs during the game, like the deep balls to AJ. It's good to have AJ back.
Don't forget, while we're here doing our show, if you're not on the YouTube, please go over to the YouTube, like, subscribe, share. We do giveaways constantly. Ryan, Jake are really good about taking care of their end of it. I'm not as good, but Ryan and Jake are very good. So please go right on over there to YouTube, like, subscribe, and again, continue commenting. I appreciate everybody in the comments. Gabe Ryan says you hit the nail right on the head that they're using Jalen Hurts just like Justin Herbert. And Timmy Brandt says Hurts needs to give his receivers a chance in the end zone. Dotson had Ward beat in the end zone and he threw too far outside. That's the one you were talking about, right?
Yeah, he was covered.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on. We beat up the offense a little bit. Okay, so there are reports coming out, this is from Ryan Swift, that it's not 100% Kellen Moore's offense either, even though Nick Sirianni said he had stepped aside and let Kellen Moore run it. Sounds like Sirianni still has a hand in the pot.
Yeah,
I don't like
he's
that.
Calling defensive plays too.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
No, not at all. That's why it looks the same. It's boring. The offense is boring right now. It's not fun to watch.
It looks, because of the pre-snap motion, it looks better than it did last year. But looks can be deceiving.
They barely used it in this game. They barely used it in this game.
I saw it, I'd say probably 40% of the time in the replay. Now, keep in mind, I only get to see the snap. So
yeah. I think I actually seen something that they actually have gone down. I'm not sure.
Apparently, the touchdown pass to A.J. Brown was a Nick Sirianni play. So, all right, Ryan, you obviously have a little bit more information on this than I do. It's Kellen Moore's playbook, but it's Nick Sirianni gets to occasionally call plays, or there's still Sirianni plays in the book, and he can go to them as he pleases. Tim Brandt says apparently after the first series, he went to Kellen Moore and told him to run the effing ball, which, I mean, fans had already said that to him, so didn't really need the help on that one. But yeah, so Ryan, when you get that back to me, let me know. Going over to the defensive side of the football, Deshaun Watson's not a good quarterback. Ryan has made this joke several times. I'm going to take it for this here show. Deshaun Watson is a better football player or a better human being than a football player, and he's not a very good human being.
Yeah, I think Deshaun Watson in that offense gave our defense false hope.
Okay, Ryan says that it's Moore's plays, but Sirianni gets to make some calls. I still like that it's Kellen Moore's playbook, though, because the Sirianni playbook sucks.
Sirianni has no idea what game flow is.
we're criticizing, but Ryan's right. We're a catch away from 4-1, and we are 3-2 and second in the division. As much as I want to sit here and complain, they are 3-2, and they're a catch away from one of their star players from being 4-1.
Here's this question: how confident are you that they can easily beat the Giants?
Oh, I have zero doubt that they're going to beat the Giants.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Giants
but the following week against the Bengals, Joe Burrow might throw for 700 yards. And that's not an exaggeration. Joe Burrow is having a statistical phenomenal year. They just aren't winning football games, which goes like their defense ain't doing shit. But no, so like I'm confident they beat the Giants. I am. I will go into that, say Eagles beat the Giants. But if you're asking me with what I've seen so far this season, only one game without a turnover this year for your starting quarterback. If he comes out this week and plays lights out and lights up the Giants, I might feel differently, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think you got a 7-point game. Vegas says it's 3.5 points to Ryan's credit. He's already got that in there for me. But I'm confident they come out and beat the Giants, and it probably doesn't look as bad as it did against the Browns.
Okay.
Keeping in mind that it's a Saquon Barkley game. Like
it is a Saquon Barkley game.
Like, yeah, so I'm confident the Eagles take care of business and get a W there, and they move on to 4-2. But let's talk about the defense. Let's move into the defensive side of the football. Can you guess who had the most tackles this week? It's a player that we have hated on all season.
Nolan Smith.
Wrong Georgia Bulldog. Ryan found the article that I was referring to on Reddit. He just sent it to me in a text message.
Dean?
Nakobe Dean led the team with 12 tackles, 7 of them solo.
How many?
This says two things to me. Cleveland was going after Nakobe Dean. They were going after Nakobe Dean. The other thing it says to me is that Nakobe Dean stepped up. Yes, Ryan, I agree. 100%. I agree. But he stepped up on a lot of plays. 12 tackles, 7 of them solo means that you actually did sort of your job.
Well, Tim had 2 weeks to game plan.
That is true. That is true.
And that's what makes it even more pathetic about the offense.
But the tackle leader on the team, Zach Bond, was second with 8, 4 of them being solo tackles, and then C.J. Gardner-Johnson coming in there as well.
We did have 5 sacks.
We did have 5 sacks. You're right. Cooper DeJean gets a half a sack. Josh Sweat, Nolan Smith both get 1. Bryce Huff gets half a sack. Finally, nice to see his name on the damn sheet here.
About time.
Jalen Carter gets 1, and then Milton Williams and Thomas Booker the 4th also both get half a sack. So 5 total sacks on the team there, which is big, And then you turn around and Jalen Hurts only got sacked once, right? Like they had a fundamentally sound offensive game outside of the first 6 plays of the game.
But I do kind of still get nervous when the game's on the line and we get the ball and Jalen Hurts. Like that fear of the fumble or the interception is still there. Every time he drops back.
That's fair. Jake Elliott, 2 for 3. The one that he missed was the block one. So kind of his fault, but also not his fault.
I think the laces were the wrong way.
The laces out, Dan. Let's see. That's pretty much what I've got for statistics. Cooper DeJean had 4 punt returns for 51 yards. Isaiah Rodgers had 3 kick returns for 75 yards. That's what I got statistically.
Is there any news about Darius Slay?
I haven't seen anything negative, so it's Tim. The reason this comes up, group, is because Tim Brandt asked in the chat, who's covering Neighbors this week? Honestly, I'd be totally fine with Quinyon Mitchell covering Malik Neighbors. I would be
totally fine with that. The 2 young first-round picks go at it.
Yeah, I would be 100. Also, not only that, but Quinyon Mitchell has shown that he can ball.
Yeah, he hasn't looked bad. He's the future CB1.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Handily, I would agree with that. Yeah. However, no, it looks like Slay is on pace to play, although he must not be 100% because he's gone down in back-to-back games now and then stayed out.
Yeah, with the knee.
Yeah. All right. We already did coaching. Talk about the Giants a little bit. We kind of sort of talked about it a little bit. Who's going to cover Neighbors? DeJean in the slot and Quignon on one side and Slay on the other. They don't have to shadow anybody. Ryan said it in the chat already. This kid DeJean, and I know it's a bad. He says Slay practiced also. He says he knows it's a bad offense, but Cooper DeJean looks like a legit player. I think he's a significant upgrade in the slot over Avonte Maddox. And when I say significant, I mean like night and day, 6 and 12, like other side of the radar.
Yeah, Avonte Maddox shouldn't be playing anymore.
He can be a depth piece. He can
that's
be on special teams and stay on depth. Tim says, I think Slay gets beat almost every play next week. I think you're wrong, Tim. Darius Slay is still a good cornerback. He's not the best cornerback on this roster. I will openly admit that here right now. I think Quinyon Mitchell, 5 games into his rookie year, may have that attribute. But he's not a bad corner. Slay is not a bad corner.
No, he's not bad, but he's not who he used to be.
Maddox's garbage wasn't going to come back until his price tag got so low. Yeah, because what they're going to do is while they won't have a specific corner cover him, whatever side of the field he's on, the safety will be back there. Yes.
Yeah.
Blankenship.
We're going to watch out for Wandell Robinson on the underneath stuff.
Yeah, you're right. Our linebackers are going to have to step up. Our slot corner, DeJean, is going to have to do a lot. But no, they'll just drop the safety over there, and then what they'll do on the flip side of it, because the Giants can't run the football really well. I know the Eagles are 27th in the league at stopping the run, but the Giants don't run the ball very well. So what they're going to do is they're going to drop CJ or Reed into the back box, so like the linebacker box, and I think they're going to be able to defend the middle of the field relatively well. Yes. Ryan says you don't hear Slay's name. That's good for a corner. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So give me your. We don't have to do predictions. Obviously, they have the prediction show. They can show our predictions on Saturday night. Tell me, how do you feel about the Giants game? I already gave you my opinion.
Oh, to be honest with you, I'm not sure. I feel like the Giants probably could pull this off. Like their defense looked good last week, and I think the week before, right? They held Seattle. They were sacking Joe Burrow.
Ryan says Daniel Jones leads the NFL with multiple touchdowns and no interceptions. Just saying. I understand it. I didn't even mention Danny Dimes being bad. I just said that I think the Eagles are going to have a good game plan.
I think it's going to be a close game. I think we're going to be nervous the whole time.
I think it's a 7-point game. I think it feels different than this Browns game. But I think it's a 7-point game. I think the Eagles do come out on top. Yeah.
Let's hope.
Yeah, let's hope, right? What are your final thoughts?
Final thoughts is I just want to keep seeing improvements from the offense and Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, like I kind of said a little bit, it might be a situation where, I mean, you only get one training camp and you're still in your first 5 games. And in the 5th game, he looked better, like Jalen Hurts, and the offense looked a little bit better than they had outside of the run game. Run game didn't look good. And it might be a situation where they're just still kind of sort of hashing out the Kellen Moore offense, as it goes on, it hopefully gets better, looks better, feels better. While we watch it as fans, we're sitting here like, oh, okay, I can get behind this, not what's going to happen next. The feeling that I'm talking about, right? Timmy says, I hate to say it, costly turnover. Hurts has a costly turnover going into halftime. Okay.
I mean, it's feasible.
Yeah, listen, he's got the 2nd most turnovers in the league right now behind Will Levis, or maybe the 3rd behind him and I don't know, Aaron, I don't know. But I could see it. I just don't have that feeling. Like last week against the Browns, I had this like weird feeling like, man, they're going to lose to this shit team.
Yeah.
I don't have that feeling this week. So I'm going to go again out on the lamb here and say that the Eagles get the win here. And it's by 7 points. It might be a last touchdown, 7 points. It might be a tie game going into the last 5 minutes of the game. But I think the Eagles get the win by 7 points.
Well, you know what scared me too? Watson didn't miss a throw in the second half. He completed all his passes.
And they only scored 6 points.
Yep. Shows you how bad he is.
Vic Fangio's defenses have always been bend but don't break. Let them run, let them move the ball through the 20s. They don't care. He doesn't care. Make it tough to score. That's always been a Vic Fangio defense. He just did it on Sunday with the Browns.
Yeah, but he also always had a good linebacker.
You know what he did differently is he blitzed in this game.
Yeah, and it seemed like a lot of it was run blitzes, though.
What they did intelligent blitzing, they would still only bring 4, but they drop a lineman back. So they were bringing the corner, they were moving the end in the slot. They were bringing a linebacker, they moved one of the defensive tackles up. It was intelligent blitzing, but I like that you're making them think about where you're coming. That's the difference.
Yeah, because they had to try to create pressure somehow.
Correct.
Defensive line hasn't really done anything.
Exactly. Now you get 5 sacks the first time you decide to bring a different look. That's a good start. I want to see that continue.
And it was a quiet 5-sack game too.
It's because of how stressful the rest of the game was. Like it's quiet. It's a quiet 5 because the game was stressful.
Yeah.
Timmy Brandt says he hates when we only rush 3. That shit pisses him off. Yes, it is frustrating when you rush 3 and can't get home. However, if you're rushing 3 and you're getting home, I don't think there's a complaint. What you're upset about is the lack of effectiveness of rushing 3, not the fact that they're rushing 3.
Yeah, or how they can be in 3rd and long and somehow they get the first down because defensive back are 10 yards off the receiver.
Correct, exactly. Yeah, I don't like that either. But again, Fangio, since he came into the league 32 years ago, whatever it was, has always been a bend but don't break. His logic is let them move between the 20s, don't let them get touchdowns. And oh, look, Ryan, I don't know if you can see him. No? Oh, there it is. Had to find out how to lean. There you go, Ryan. There's your boy. But yeah, so if that continues to be good, like you're talking, the Browns didn't have an offensive touchdown. Their only touchdown came on special teams. So his bend but don't break worked for 9 points. Cut and dry.
As long as you keep him out of the end zone,
That's
I'm happy
exactly
with
right.
it.
Yeah.
But I'll be mad during the whole time it's happening.
I know. You got anything else before I cut us out?
Fast start. Fast start on offense.
I would agree. A fast start on offense and maybe a turnover in the first quarter would be really nice.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us here on B.S.ing Sports, where we do a little BS and we talk a whole lot of sports. Thank you for joining us. Thank you and have a great night after you go to YouTube and subscribe. Thank you and have a good night.